London Mayor Boris Johnson wrote an article in the Telegraph where he argues that the rich are an oppressed minority. Well, they certainly are a minority because they're the 1%, as we call them, or the 0.1%. That would be the mega rich. But they're certainly not oppressed. I don't think you quite know what the definition of oppressed is if you're calling the rich oppressed. They would be the oppressors. We would be the oppressees. That's the way this works. Now, I want to read you part of what he said. Quote, "These are the people, the rich, who put bread on the tables of families who, if the rich didn't invest in supercars and employ an eau de cologne dabbers, maybe otherwise find themselves without a breadwinner. We should stop any bashing or moaning or preaching or bitching and simply give thanks for the prodigious sums of money that they are contributing to the tax revenues of this country and that enable us to look after our sick and our elderly and to build roads, railways, and schools." So his argument is very clear. Shut up, thank the rich. If it wasn't for them, your life would be worse off. You know what this kind of reminds me of, the whole argument? If you substitute where he says rich with the king, that really puts this article in perspective. Because people in the past made this same kind of argument about dictators and monarchies and kings and queens and all that stuff, where there was a single authoritarian regime that called all the shots, right? And they said, look, oh, you can bitch and moan about it, but do you have food to eat? Do you have water to drink? Do you have a roof over your head? All right, you have all those things, so shut up already. Go ahead and thank the king. Bow down to the king. He's allowing you to live. Yeah, that's not a very convincing argument. And again, the argument is very simple. Just shut up and thank them. Simple as that. And then also, when he makes the point about, oh, it's them paying most of the taxes, so you should thank them for the roads and the bridges and the infrastructure and this and that, to which I respond, that leaves out the biggest part of the picture. People in the U.S. make this argument all the time, where they say, well, the rich carries most of the tax burden. Because they make almost all of the money. If you focus on just how much they pay in taxes, you're missing a whole other part of the equation. How much are they making? And they're making way more than they pay. They should be paying more. Look at Mitt Romney as just one example. The dude made $14 million one year, $25 or $29 million another year. He only paid 14.9% in taxes. Meanwhile, I know people who make $100,000, which is still a good wage, don't get me wrong, but they're paying 25 or 30% taxes. Somebody who makes $65,000 a year can pay 25% in taxes. Why should the construction worker or the accountant or the teacher pay more as a percentage than Mitt fucking Romney? So somebody, if they labor for their work, pays more in taxes than Mitt Romney, who doesn't labor at all. He could sit on his couch and his money makes money because it's all investment, so it's taxed as capital gains. It doesn't make any sense. And just to show you, I want to give you a better perspective of income inequality in the U.S., but also in the world, so you get an idea of how ridiculous this argument is. He's saying, shut up and love the rich. Now, he's talking specifically about the UK, but if you look at this in the context of the U.S., just 400 Americans, 400, have more wealth than 150 million Americans combined. You know what that means? 400 people have more money than half of America, than 50%. 400 more than 50%. Is it really the case that those 400 just worked that much harder? Is it physically and logically possible for somebody to work that much more than everybody else? No, it's that the system is rigged. It's not a meritocracy that we're living in where the harder you work, the further you go. It has to do with hierarchy. It has to do with wealth from your parents and your parents' parents. It has to do with privilege. It has to do with, a system that at one point was totally based on oppression, and we've kind of chipped away at that as time has gone by. It's not like they just work harder. That's such a stupid way of viewing it and a naive way of viewing it. The richest 1% have more financial wealth in the U.S. than the bottom 95% combined. The richest 1%, more financial wealth than 95% combined. Think about that. 76% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck. 76% paycheck to paycheck. But go thank the rich guy who has 3 yachts, 4 mansions, and 3 Maseratis. Thank him. And also the ratio of top CEO pay to average worker, get this is amazing, 1,723 to 1. The top CEO pay makes more, 1,723 times more than your average worker. You know what that number used to be? 45 to 1. 1,723. And also, final thing here, there are about 7.1 billion people in the world. Of that, 10 million are millionaires. So that would be, as a percentage, that's 0.15% of the people in the world are millionaires. Tiny, tiny number, 0.15%. Only 1,011 people are billionaires. Okay, that's like 0.000000001%. But over 3 billion people, so over about half of the population, 50% of the people on the planet are paid less than $2 US per day. Yeah, for some reason, I don't think thanking rich people is what we should be doing.